During the party, when she was dancing with another guy, she looked at me and said, "I also have the right to have my options." I said nothing, just picked up my car keys and left without looking back, then blocked her number. At 3 a.m., she kept banging on my door. I didn't open it. Then, while crying, she said something that left me shocked. I, 28M, am a logistics manager for a regional shipping company. My job is all about efficiency, routing, and predicting problems before they happen. I'm the guy who plans the road trip down to the gas station stops. I like stability. I like knowing that if I put X into the equation, I get Y out. For the past 2 years, my variable has been my girlfriend, 26F. Let's call her V. V was everything I wasn't. Spontaneous, loud, the life of the party. I thought she balanced me out. I thought I grounded her. In reality, I was just the runway she used to refuel before taking off again. I ignored the signs because, well, love makes you stupid. I ignored that she never offered to pay for dinner, that her freelance social media job didn't seem to pay actual money, and that she needed constant validation from other men to feel alive. We were at a mutual friend's engagement party last Saturday. It was a high-end affair, open bar, a live band, the works. I had paid for her dress, a shimmering emerald thing that cost more than my first car, because she said she wanted to look the part for my corporate friends. I was proud to have her on my arm. She looked stunning, and for the first hour, everything was great. The trouble started about 2 hours in. She had been hitting the champagne hard. I'm not a drinker, so I was the designated driver, sipping club soda and making polite conversation with my boss. I lost track of her for maybe 20 minutes. When I found her, she was on the dance floor. Not just dancing, she was grinding against a guy I vaguely recognized, some trust fund kid from the marketing department named Tyler, known for accidentally forgetting his wallet at lunch. His hands were lower than they should have been. Her head was thrown back, laughing. I walked onto the floor. I didn't make a scene, I just tapped her shoulder. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice low, "we should head out soon. My boss is leaving and it's getting late." She spun around, eyes glassy, a smudge of lipstick on her teeth. She looked at me, then back at Tyler, who was smirking like he'd just won a prize. "Relax," she slurred. "We're just dancing. Don't be such a buzzkill." "It looks like a little more than dancing," I said, my patience fraying. "Come on, let's go." That's when she pulled away from me and wrapped her arm around Tyler's neck. She looked me dead in the eye, chin raised in defiance. "You don't own me," she announced, loud enough for the surrounding couples to hear. "I'm young, I'm hot, and I also have the right to have my options. You're lucky I'm even going home with you." The music seemed to stop, though I know it didn't. "Options?" I repeated flatly. "Yeah, options. Competition keeps the market healthy, right? That's what you always say about business." She giggled, nuzzling into Tyler's shoulder. "Maybe you should step up your game instead of dragging me down." Tyler laughed. "She's got a point, man. Let her breathe." I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the entitlement, the lack of respect, the sheer audacity of humiliating me in front of my colleagues, and suddenly the equation balanced. X, disrespect, plus Y, entitlement, equals Z, I'm done. I didn't yell, I didn't fight the guy, I didn't beg, I just nodded. "You're right, you should explore your options." I fished my car keys out of my pocket. "Enjoy your night." "Wait, you're leaving?" she scoffed. "You're my ride." "I was your boyfriend," I corrected. "Now I'm just an option you didn't pick." I turned and walked away. I heard her calling my name, sounding more annoyed than worried. "You can't leave me here. It's an hour drive. Stop being dramatic." I kept walking. I walked out of the venue, got into my car, and drove away. As I merged onto the highway, I pulled out my phone and blocked her number. I drove home in silence. It was the most peaceful drive of my life. I got home around midnight. I locked the front door, engaged the deadbolt, and checked the back door. Then I went to the bedroom. I didn't sleep. I packed, not my stuff, hers. I pulled out 3 heavy-duty trash bags. I swept her clothes off the hangers. I dumped her makeup drawer into a box. I cleared the bathroom counter. It took me 2 hours. By 2:30 a.m., her entire existence in my house was reduced to 4 bags and 2 boxes sitting on the front porch. I sat in the living room with the lights off, waiting. I knew she would come. Entitled people don't handle rejection well. They view it as a system error. At 3:14 a.m., a car pulled up. Not a taxi, it was a flashy sports car. Tyler had brought her home. I watched through the peephole. She stumbled out of the passenger seat, looking disheveled. She waved to Tyler, who peeled off without waiting to see if she got inside. Classy guy. She walked up the path, humming to herself. Then she saw the bags. She stopped. She kicked one. Then she realized what it was. She stormed to the door and tried the handle. Locked. She tried her key. It wouldn't turn. I had engaged the internal security latch that prevents the key from working from the outside. Bang, bang, bang. "Open the door," she screamed. "This isn't funny. It's freezing." I didn't move. "I know you're in there. Open up or I'm breaking a window." I walked to the door and spoke through the wood. "If you break a window, I call the police for vandalism. You don't live here anymore. You aren't on the lease. You aren't on the utilities. You're trespassing." "I lived there for 6 months," she shrieked. "You can't just kick me out." "You stayed here," I corrected. "You never changed your address. You never paid rent. And you just told a room full of people you were keeping your options open. Consider this me closing mine." She started crying. It was that fake crying she used when she wanted me to buy her something expensive. "Baby, please, I was drunk. I didn't mean it. He meant nothing. I just wanted to make you jealous because I love you so much." "Go stay with your parents," I said. "They're in Florida," she wailed. "I have nowhere to go. My phone is dying. You can't leave me on the street." "Call an Uber or call your option back." Then she said the thing that was supposed to be her trump card, the thing that left me shocked, not because of the content, but because of the sheer manipulative timing. She pressed her face against the doorframe and sobbed, "You can't do this to me. I'm pregnant." My hand froze on the lock. For a second, just a split second, the biological imperative kicked in. Pregnant? My child? But then the logistics brain took over. I looked at the timeline. We hadn't been intimate since 6 weeks. Work stress, her headaches, late nights, we had been roommates who shared a bed. 6 weeks. If she was pregnant and she knew it now, she would be at least a few weeks along. "Pregnant?" I asked through the door. "Yes," she cried, sensing a weakness. "I took a test this morning. I was going to surprise you tonight after the party. That's why I was acting weird. I was scared. Please let me in. Do you want your baby sleeping on the porch?" I leaned my forehead against the cool wood of the door. "Who is the father?" "You are. How can you even ask that? We haven't slept
Together in 6 weeks," I said calmly. There was a silence on the other side of the door, a long, heavy silence. "That's not true," she stammered. Last week." "No," I said. "Last week you were too tired. The week before you had cramps. The week before that I was in Chicago for business. It's been 6 weeks. So if you're pregnant, congratulations. But unless this is a divine conception, it's not mine." "You're crazy," she hissed, the sadness evaporating instantly. "Fine, be like that, but when the DNA test comes back, you're gonna pay. I'll take you for every penny. I'll make sure everyone knows you abandoned your pregnant girlfriend." "Get off my porch," I said, "or I'm calling the cops." She kicked the door one last time, screaming obscenities that would make a sailor blush. I watched through the peephole as she dragged the bags down the driveway. She sat on the curb and made a phone call. 20 minutes later, a generic sedan, an Uber, picked her up. I didn't sleep that night. I sat up, replaying the last 2 years. The signs were there. The late work meetings, the guarded phone, the sudden need for space, followed by intense affection. I had been blind because I wanted the equation to work. The next morning, the war began. I woke up to 47 missed calls and a barrage of texts. Not from her, but from her friends, and my friends, and her mother. She had posted a photo of herself crying in a motel room. The caption was a masterpiece of fiction, thrown out on the street at 3 a.m. by the man I loved, just hours after telling him I'm carrying his child. No shoes, no coat, just broken promises. I don't know how I'll survive this, but I have to be strong for the baby. My phone was radioactive. People I hadn't spoken to in high school were messaging me, calling me a monster. My boss, who was at the party, sent me a text. "We need to talk on Monday. HR has concerns." She was trying to burn my life down. She wanted to destroy my reputation, my career, and my social standing to force me back into line. I took a deep breath. I didn't respond to the comments. I didn't post a defense. I went to work. I spent Sunday gathering evidence. I went to the venue where the party was held. I knew the owner. We had done logistics for his warehouse. I need the security footage from last night, I told him, specifically the dance floor and the parking lot. It's a legal issue? He asked. Potential custody battle, I said. It wasn't a lie. He gave me the files. I watched the video. It was even worse than I remembered. She wasn't just dancing. There was a solid hour where she and Tyler were making out in a booth in the corner. Then the confrontation. The audio was clear enough to hear her scream, "I have the right to my options." Then I pulled the phone records. We were on a family plan, and since it was my account, I had full access. I pulled her call logs and text history. The number she texted most frequently wasn't mine. It was a number I didn't recognize. I reverse searched it. It belonged to a guy named Greg. I scrolled back. The texts went back 4 months. Can't wait to see you. He's so boring. I need you. Coming over now, he's asleep. And the smoking gun dated the morning of the party. Greg, you sure? Her, yes, 2 lines. It's yours, but don't worry, I have a plan to get it paid for. I screenshotted everything. I backed it up to the cloud. I backed it up to a hard drive. On Monday morning, I walked into my office. The HR director and my boss were waiting. "We've seen the posts," the HR director said, looking grim. "This reflects poorly on the company's values. We have a zero-tolerance policy for domestic abuse and abandonment." "I didn't abandon anyone," I said, placing a folder on the desk. "And there was no abuse. She was intoxicated, she publicly cheated on me at a company event, and I left. She came to my house at 3 a.m. and attempted to break in." I slid a thumb drive across the desk. This contains security footage of her behavior at the party, confirming she was not in distress when I left. It also contains text messages proving the pregnancy is not mine and that she is premeditating paternity fraud to extort money from me. My boss plugged in the drive. They watched the video. They read the texts. The HR director's face went from stern to horrified. She texted that she was going to get it paid for?" my boss asked. "Yes," I said, "by me, because I have a steady job and Greg apparently doesn't." "You're in the clear here," my boss said, exhaling, "but this social media storm, it's bad PR." "I'm handling it legally," I said. "I just needed you to know the truth." I left the office and went straight to a lawyer. We filed a cease and desist for defamation. We also filed for a restraining order based on her attempting to break into my home and the harassment from her proxies. But she wasn't done. 3 days later, I was served. She was suing me for intentional infliction of emotional distress and illegal eviction. She was also asking for interim support for prenatal care. She had found a lawyer who specialized in high-conflict shakedowns. I met her and her lawyer in a deposition room 2 weeks later. She looked modest. No makeup, loose clothes, hands folded over her stomach. She was playing the Madonna. Her lawyer, a greasy guy in a cheap suit, started aggressively. "My client is destitute. She is carrying your child. You threw her out like garbage. We want $5,000 a month in support, plus legal fees and damages." "She didn't live there," my lawyer said calmly. "She was a guest." "She contributed labor, emotional support," her lawyer argued. "And regarding the paternity, we will be requesting a court-ordered DNA test once the child is born. Until then, the presumption of paternity lies with the cohabitating partner." "Actually," I said, speaking for the first time, "we can settle this now." I pulled out the printed text logs, the ones between her and Greg. I slid the paper across the table to her lawyer. Exhibit A. A text from the plaintiff to a number registered to a Gregory Miller dated the morning of the breakup. "It's yours, but don't worry, I have a plan to get it paid for." Her face went pale. The grieving mother act vanished. Her eyes darted around the room. This is fabricated," she stammered. "It's from the carrier logs," my lawyer said, "subpoenaed and authenticated. We also have the security footage from the club showing her with another man, contradicting her claims of emotional distress." Her lawyer picked up the paper. He read it. He looked at her. He realized he wasn't getting paid.
Is there anything else? His voice dropped an octave. Yes, I said. I'm countersuing for defamation. The social media posts cost me a promotion opportunity. I have damages calculated at roughly $15,000 based on the delay in my salary bump. And since she admitted to conspiracy to commit paternity fraud in writing, I'll be forwarding this to the district attorney. She started to cry, real tears this time. You can't do that. I'm pregnant. You're ruining my life. You had options, I said, echoing her words from that night. You chose this one. The lawsuit was dropped the next day, but entitlement is a disease that eats the brain. She didn't stop. She went to Greg. She told him I was abusive, that I forced her to get an abortion, which she hadn't, and that she needed money to escape me. Greg, apparently not the brightest bulb, believed her. I came out to my car one morning to find all 4 tires slashed.
Deadbeat was keyed into the hood. I checked my Ring camera. A guy in a hoodie. But he made a mistake. He pulled down his mask to sneeze. I recognized him from the social media profile ad found. It was Greg. I didn't call her. I called the police. I gave them the footage. I gave them the text history showing her manipulating him. They picked Greg up an hour later. He cracked immediately. He told them she drove him there. She gave him the knife. She told me I deserved it. The police went to her parents' house, where she was crashing after leaving the motel, and arrested her for conspiracy to commit vandalism and harassment. The court date for the criminal charges was the final confrontation. She wasn't looking smug anymore. She looked tired. Pregnant, yes, but definitely not glowing. Her parents were there. They looked at me with pure hatred until the prosecutor started reading the evidence. The texts about trapping me, the video of the slashing, the video of her dancing with Tyler. Her father, a stern-looking man who had always been cool to me, slumped in his seat. He realized his daughter had been lying to him for months. She had told them I was a monster who beat her. The evidence showed I was a guy who paid her bills while she cheated on me with multiple men. When the judge asked her if she had anything to say, she looked at me. I just wanted to be happy, she sobbed. I just wanted security. You have so much and you wouldn't share. You were so stingy with your feelings. I had to look elsewhere. You wanted a lifestyle, I said, addressing the court but looking at her, not a relationship. And you thought a baby was an ATM receipt. The judge was not impressed. Because she was pregnant, she didn't get jail time. She got 2 years of probation, mandatory psychiatric counseling, and a restitution order. She had to pay me back for the car damage and the legal fees. Her parents had to take out a second mortgage to pay her legal bills and my restitution. I moved. I couldn't stay in that house. Too many memories of her banging on the door. I sold it for a profit and bought a smaller place with a bigger garage. I heard through the grapevine what happened to her. Greg wanted nothing to do with the baby after the arrest. He ghosted her. She had the kid, a boy. She's living with her parents, working part-time at a diner because her criminal record makes it hard to get a corporate job. Her options have dried up. I saw her once, about 6 months ago. I was at the grocery store. She was pushing a cart with a screaming toddler in the seat. She looked 10 years older. She was wearing sweatpants, no makeup. She saw me. She froze. I saw her eyes flick to my hand, no ring. Then to my cart, steaks, good wine, charcoal, the single guy with money starter pack. She opened her mouth, maybe to say hello, maybe to apologize, maybe to ask for $20. I didn't give her the chance. I just turned my cart down the cereal aisle and kept walking. I didn't look back. It's been a year since the option incident. My life is quieter now. No drama, no high-speed chases, no 3 a.m. surprises. I learned that options go both ways. She had the right to hers, sure, but I had the right to exercise my option to walk away. People think love is about enduring everything. It's not. Love is a contract. It requires 2 parties acting in good faith. When one party breaches that contract repeatedly, the only logical move is to terminate the agreement. She wanted to play the market. She crashed. I just divested before I lost everything. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a steak to grill and a silence to enjoy. If you liked this story of a cheater getting checkmated, hit that subscribe button. It's free, unlike the child support she tried to trap me with.